All right, Verdance, back on track. Week 2, task number 4 is going to be just with kettlebells. We've got 3 movements. You're going to do somewhere between 3 and 5 rounds. The reps are going to also be a little bit dependent upon your familiarity with the movements. We'll have a rep scheme with sort of like a range in there for you. The first movement is going to be a horn curl. So you're going to take a kettlebell. There's a couple ways to do this. I think actually playing with it a little bit is that's what I would suggest. So with the first one, you're going to have the bottom of the kettlebell facing you. We're going to come on up. We're going to come on back down relatively slowly. You can also flip the kettlebell to where the top is facing up, okay? And then we're coming this way. And you'll see, hey, this is a little bit different. There's a slightly different form of control. I think these are usually a little bit harder, but I would try both, okay? That's your horn curl. What our objective here is just to make sure that we're not leaning, that we're in a nice upright position, and ideally, we're not doing too much with the elbows that come in front of the body here. We're gonna keep the elbows back as we're doing our horn curl, okay? The next move is a gorilla row, okay? So we're gonna take both the kettlebells. If you've been here a while, we've done this before in the past, it's been a second. You're gonna have your kettlebells between the feet. You're gonna make sure you're sitting your hips back. Sort of think deadlift position here, only the feet are wider. We're gonna be pulling up with one arm and pressing down with the other. So we're gonna pull and try to get that elbow to face the back pocket, go up to the sky, and then come on back down, hold, and then come on back down. What we don't wanna do is do like a lot of chest opening and go too fast. So relatively slowly, hold the position, come on back. Make sure the shoulders don't come up here. Keep the shoulder down and back as we're pulling. The last movement is one that we don't do very much. It's called the Turkish get-up. It is, I think, can really throw people off. It is not as hard as it looks. But if you're like, hey, I've never done this before, it's a great time to work on it. We don't put these into workouts for a bunch of reasons. Really, safety is the main one. And also, it is hard to do these with any intensity. It is a fairly slow movement, okay? So what I'm gonna do is use my right arm. There is one piece of this that I think, especially if you haven't been doing CrossFit very long, or maybe like, hey, I'm not very familiar with the kettlebell, this is one thing that we should work on a lot, which is when you're holding the kettlebell, you need to make sure that your wrist is neutral, okay? So that our wrist isn't broken back like this, all right? So my wrist is gonna be here. And the way I'm gonna do that is I'm gonna take the fleshy part of the hand between the pointer finger and the thumb. I'm gonna be putting that right into the elbow of that kettlebell, okay? So here, now my wrist is neutral, okay, and it's not broken back like this, right? So the kettlebell is here. I'm gonna lay back. I'm gonna press that kettlebell up. And what I'm gonna be doing next is I'm gonna take this other arm, I'm gonna put it to the side, okay? I'm gonna do a sit-up as I'm pressing up through this kettlebell, so this arm isn't gonna bend. I'm gonna look up the whole time, okay? So I'm gonna come up to my side. I'm then gonna come up on this arm. You'll notice that the leg that's up is the same as the arm that is up, okay? And again, I'm always looking towards my kettlebell, right? So I'm looking up, I'm gonna post my hip up, I'm gonna come through with the other knee, okay? And now I'm in essentially like a lunge position. I'm gonna come on back up. Again, this arm is perpendicular to the ground or the ceiling. I'm gonna stand on back up. And again, this leg, the same leg that the arm is on, is gonna be the one that's up. So I'm gonna come back down, other leg goes back, this leg is up, this hand is gonna go to the side. I'm gonna rotate that shoulder. I'm gonna sit through with this leg. So I'm sitting through, butt to the ground, still looking up at my kettlebell, back to my elbow, and then using my abs to go on back down. Okay, and then I'm slowly coming back down to the ground with my kettlebell. All right, and what I'm gonna have us do is probably put a time frame on that. Maybe reps is a bad idea for like, hey, I've never done that before. It might even take longer than the rep that I just did. And ideally, we're not spending like too much time doing 5 reps on each arm. We don't want to take like 10 minutes just to do 10 Turkish get-ups, okay? So what we'll do is just say, hey, like a time frame is about 90 seconds on these, switch to the other arm, however many reps we get is great.